Vocal exercises. Lion face.
Lion face.
Lemon face. Woo! Lion face. Welcome, friends, to Turn of the Millennials. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Lindy.
And today we are going to...
Hold up, Steph. We need to talk about something first.
What? What do we need to talk about?
Stephie, it's your birthday. Happy birthday, Stephie. I wish you everything your heart desires and your first kiss from a boy. I was going to make him another line, but I didn't have time and, whatever.
That's
but happy
okay.
birthday!
Yay! So, yes, today officially, May 6th is my birthday.
Happy birthday!
So I am, one of the millennials, born 85, so I'm officially 37 this year. Don't care about the age, y'all, because it's just a number, and I don't... So this will bring me actually
right into
to millennial moments.
This is your 37-year-old wisdom.
Yes, and this is actually my millennial moment for this week as well.
Millennial moment!
Yes. So like I said, I'm 37, but I sure as hell don't feel like I'm 37. I still kind of feel like I'm in my 20s, sort of, it's just the natural progression of, how you sort of age. You just always kind of feel like you're young until you look in the mirror and you're like, I am not that age anymore. Exactly. So I was in this class the other day. It was a class at the gym. It was 20, so 20-minute step, 20 minutes condition, 20 minutes like cardio, whatever.
That sounds tiring.
Meh, it's how you get fit. It's how we stay, good, I guess, as we age. That's the other thing. So I was in this class, and a lot of the ladies, because it's kind of like a step in a lower impact conditioning class, it's a lot of older ladies in the class, like maybe, and I know we're millennials now, so we're the ones that are in our 40s. So these are probably like late Gen Xers, maybe early boomers, I'm assuming. So now I'm thinking they're 50s, but they're probably actually maybe 60s now.
They just look good for their ages.
Exactly. So I have no idea, but they are older women.
Because they're obviously staying healthy.
Yes. So there's these older women. So when I'm in that class, I feel like I'm the youngest person that's in this class because I'm a 37-year-old and most of them are in this week when I was at the class. I set all of my step up or whatever and then I turn over and these two girls walk into the class. Both all have their matching outfits. The one has some weird belly chain around her gym clothes.
Thing?
It's becoming a thing again.
Oh my god, that shit's back. Ugh.
So she had a belly chain around. So she's wearing a crop top and had a belly chain around hers. Which I'm fine out at the bar and stuff, but at the gym it's a little weird. Really?
Not to mention a little bit in kind of a danger. In the way, wouldn't it be safety hazard?
So either way, these girls go and set their stuff up, and then for the 5 minutes before the class starts, they proceed to take photos and videos and posings of their self until the class starts. They also only lasted 20 minutes in the class, and then they left all their shit there. But as I'm looking at these girls, and I'm like I said, I look at these older women, and I'm like, I feel like I'm the 20-year-old in the class because I feel like I'm young. But then I saw these little bitches and I fucking realized I am not 20 years old anymore. Oh my gosh.
Dude.
I'm sure they're nice and pleasant, but they're not really bitches. But just in that moment, I was like, I am looking at these girls just Instagramming and posing and all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, I am definitely not 20 anymore. I understand there's influencers of all ages, but I am not 20. I can tell that.
Are you not super glad that all this social media shit wasn't around when we were in our early 20s?
100%.
We had cell phones and there was internet on cell phone, but we didn't have Facebook and shit yet.
Facebook didn't come out until 2 years after I graduated.
Yeah. It was only released in 2004 and only really became public in late 2006 kind of. Because I didn't get it till early or mid 2007.
You had to have a university email to get it for the first 2 years.
At first you had to have an elite college email address.
And then other emails, and then
I only got my Facebook because of Danielle, so we could stay in constant contact with each other while we were planning our England trip. And I fully planned on deleting it when I got back from England. Never fucking happened. Almost 20 years later.
That was me. Danielle was the one because she was the one who was in university, so she had access to Facebook through her Laurier email or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was on it and whatever. And she's like, hey, so when it first became like, I guess she was kind of the first one of us, I guess, to know it came public. So she was like, hey, get on this Facebook thing. And kind of
like how it happened in the movie.
Never went back.
Yeah, kind of like how it happened on Social Network.
Right?
Great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Movie.
So, Lindy, do you have a millennial moment this week?
Unfortunately, no.
Nothing made you feel old. You didn't have 20-year-olds making you feel old.
I do remember having a conversation with a girl at work being like, wow, that totally just made me feel so fucking old, but I did not write it down. And I cannot for the life of me remember what it was. I tried.
That's
and if I happen to remember, I will interrupt you and tell you.
That's how it goes around here. And on a side note, my nano baby didn't last more than 2 weeks. It died.
Is that your like old one, or did you like just buy it?
No, this was okay. So when I went to Vic's to pick up Danielle's Beanie Babies and all the stuff, this was in there. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, the batteries don't look corroded. So I opened it up, took the batteries out, put new batteries in, and it worked again. So I've been trying to feed this nano pet for the last 2 weeks. And then last week I killed it because I was doing stuff on the weekend and I forgot about it. So does this mean I shouldn't be a mother, or what is this telling me?
I killed my fern again.
Oh no. You let our love fern die.
No, so my fern originally like died at the end of February when we were moving, because it was like one of the last things that went into the truck, because I didn't want it sitting in the truck in the cold while we were loading it.
Yep.
But we had to go to the storage unit and unload the truck before we could go to my parents. And I didn't want to put it in the truck because like it was loosely in a bag and it would have like, whatever. I should have fucking put it in the truck. I didn't want my dog or cat to eat it. Anyway, it was outside in the cold too long. Got it back to my parents. My dad has just spent the last 6, 7, 8 weeks nursing it back to health.
Oh.
Last Sunday, like this past Sunday, my parents came up for a visit to see my house for the first time. And my dad brought my fern up with him because it was nice and it wasn't full, but it was healthy.
Yeah.
So I was like, sweet. And it was nice and warm on the Sunday. So that I hung it on my porch. Everyone who lives in our area in Southern Ontario knows that fucking Sunday night, Monday was not a warm day at all. Lindy forgot about the fern until Monday evening around 6 or 7 o'clock. Even when I came home from work and walked right fucking past it. I know Riley's upset that I killed a fern. I'm sorry.
I know. Sorry, Riley. I don't blame you.
So I went and grabbed it. I brought it inside, and the bucket that it sits in was frozen.
Oh,
it was
poor fern.
So it's at room temperature. The thing's still wet. I have it sitting like in the window raised. Like the leaves are kind of dark. They're not brown and dead, but they're dark, which means they fucking froze. And Lindy's just not a good green thumb. And Kyla, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. Kyla, my sister, she's a horticulturalist. Like she's a plant person.
Yeah.
And I'm just probably just a shame. So I killed my fern, but I was told that I will be able to bring it back to life. I just have to be patient and be careful with it.
Yes, leave it aside. And also like Thursday, when we got down to like 0 degrees or whatever. Anyways, the fern will survive.
I hope so. So it's your birthday.
It is my birthday. So
that means you get your choice of topic for our episode. What do you want to discuss?
So for my birthday this year, I decided to go with Coyote Ugly. This movie is kind of a little, I don't know, it was fun at the time, and then also it was my sister's first DVD. My first DVD was Gossip, which I will want to talk about later on a different episode, but we're going to just keep it to the Coyote Ugly because it was a fun little movie at the time. It may be problematic in some ways now, but
yeah, there were a few things in there that I was like, but it wasn't like anything awful.
Yes, like
one's very specific, which I'm sure you probably know which one I'm gonna say.
Right.
But other than that, it wasn't really that offensive.
No, and it's still fun, and also in another way, it is the girls being empowered throughout of a lot of it too. They're making the decisions.
Like
so
I love Bridget Moynihan's character.
Right.
I love her.
Oh, I know. And Cammy,
biggest set of balls on that girl.
Cammy, the Russian slut.
Cammy's adorable. She's really cute.
Right? But exactly, she's a girl. She's like, I don't care if I'm a slut. That's her persona, and she's taking her sexuality back. But anyways, so we're talking about Coyote Ugly, which was released in 2000. Oh,
you don't have this information readily available, Stephanie?
Hold on. Let me I made my own notes from the movie, but apparently
it's pre-2001 because the Twin Towers are in it.
Oh my God. I love watching movies from New York with having the Twin Towers in it because you're just like, oh, the nostalgia.
That's what it should still look like.
Yeah, it still looks like that.
It still look like that, but sadly it does not.
Okay, so it was released in 2000. That's what I thought was in 2000.
It looked very 2000 compared, like, going by the fashion.
Yes.
The leather pants and shit. Yeah.
The leather pants.
Very 2000.
The flares and stuff like that, which she was wearing, which I'm sorry, those.
The tie up, the rhinestones. Like,
when they first show Bridget Moynihan's character and she's in those like leather pants with the little flames up the side, I always wanted those pants so bad.
I had a, this is when I was like, I was probably this was before 2000. So probably around like 97, 98. I had a pair of jeans that I absolutely fucking loved because they had like black barbed wire down the side of the jeans.
I remember those
and they were like a black velvet.
Yes,
they were soft and fuzzy. I loved those pants.
I do remember, which like I said, that's exactly what kind of was in the fashion circle.
My giant flare jeans that had like the two different colored like swooshes down the leg.
Oh, yep.
You remember those? They came from the pocket and it swooshed down to the front of my leg and they were like, it flared out with my jeans. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Very Jinko-esque style.
I need to go to Toulouse. Maybe I'll come down on Sunday and stop by and visit you.
Coyote Ugly. So it was produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, and it came out, in 2000. Written by Kevin Smith and Gina Wendkos, which is funny that Kevin Smith actually had part of it. Like the Kevin Smith? Yes, the Kevin Smith. And then it starred Piper Perabo, Adam Garcia. Parabo?
I think it's Parabo. I thought it was Parabo. Anyway.
Either way. Sorry if we pronounced it wrong incorrectly. Adam Garcia, Maria Bello, Melanie Linsky, John Goodman, like I said, Bridget Moynihan. Tyra Banks was also in it. Just a slew of people, which is funny. Tyra Banks is on the cover, but she really is only in like 2.5 scenes.
But they used her stardom to pump up a
little bit of her stardom, because she was a model, and I think around that time was just before they transitioned to ANTM.
I didn't know it was written by Kevin Smith because I don't remember seeing that on the credits.
It mentions it on Wikipedia, so I don't know if someone's just pulling our leg or something, but
Wikipedia is a public domain, right? So writer Gina Wendkos.
Yeah, that's the first one, and then it has uncredited, and then it says, I think maybe it's uncredited. That's what it says. Yeah, uncredited Kevin Smith.
Script department.
Here. Kevin Smith, Coyote Ugly.
I can hear you tapping.
Tap. Oh, why his version never got made. Interesting.
Anyway.
So we also had the Tyra Banks in the starring. And
Bridget Moynihan.
It also had a soundtrack that was mostly sung by Leanne Rimes. She did do the vocal for
Violet. Piper's character.
And then also, of course, Can't Find the Moonlight, which was the main song off of it as well.
Yep.
That's
good
why
song. I didn't really care for the rest of them in the movie.
I think Right Kind of Wrong was also one that I didn't mind too bad. That's the one that What's His Face sings in the
Adam Garcia.
Yeah.
Funny thing about Adam Garcia, when Danielle and I were in England in 2007, we went to go see Wicked, starring Adam Garcia. So we were like, oh, yeah, let's do this. We went, we got tickets. They were like, I think like 25 pounds. So they were about $55 Canadian at the time in 2007. We get in, we have our programs, blah, 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 blah. And we were flipping through them. And we're just like so psyched. We're going to see Adam Garcia. He was in Coyote Ugly. He's so hot. Open and his understudies playing today because his day off. Yeah. We were very disappointed.
I would have gone up to the ticket holders and been like, can we change this for tomorrow when Adam is back?
We couldn't because we were not going to be back to that part of London again. So we didn't really have the opportunity. Otherwise, we definitely would have.
Right.
But it was still a phenomenal show. I highly recommend anyone to go see it. It's great.
Oh, of course. Broadway shows are always like so amazing to see.
As memorable as that show was, I have to mention this because it's so funny. What was more memorable were the 7th graders behind us trying to pick us up. Anyway.
So Coyote Ugly. So it was distributed by Buena Vista Pictures, released August 4th, 2000. And it has a budget of 45 million, and it was a box office of 113.9 million dollars.
Good for it,
right? So it did a pretty. It wasn't a bomb, and it was, it was crazy. It was good.
When you first mentioned this, I was just like, oh, great, now I have to watch Coyote Ugly. So, but then I watched it this morning, and I forgot actually how enjoyable this movie is. Like, it gave me all the fucking feels. Like,
yes, there's literally
it made me laugh. It made me just face palm sometimes, but
there's a little bit of something for everybody. Part,
it was so nostalgic. Yes. Just the clothes alone and the music was nostalgic.
Right?
Like, nobody listens to Kid Rock anymore because Kid Rock. But,
and then the fact that there's no real cell phones, no, it's not all technology based. It's just all of that nostalgia from, I know we're sounding old in here and being like boomers and stuff, but a little bit of nostalgic for our younger days.
What our podcast is about, Stephanie.
I know. But it reminded us of younger days. Like, it was, those simpler times without technology.
Oh, how I miss them. I hate how addicted I am to my phone.
I know.
I really fucking hate it. I was kicked off of Facebook for 24 hours the other day because of something I commented on your comment. And it was liberating. But
at the same time, it sucks.
But at the same time, it really fucking sucked. Because I used up all of my turns and all of the games that I have that I'm playing on my phone right now. So I don't have any games to play because I'm not buying new ones with real money because that's stupid. So I put my phone down and I actually watched a show.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So, according to Wikipedia, it says Kevin Smith did an uncredited rewrite of the script, stated that a total of 8 writers worked on the script, while the Writers Guild of America only gave credit to Gina Wendkos, who wrote the first draft of the script, which, according to Smith, scarcely resembles the final film.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting. I'd like to see a comparison.
So, right? I would like to know what some of these original ones were. So, early on, they considered Jessica Simpson for the role, and she turned down the role of Violet.
Yes, and you know what sucks that she turned it down? Because she turned it down because of the sex scene. They wouldn't cut it. But she ended up having a body double, and the majority of the sex scene was cut anyway.
Yeah, they didn't. There's
no sex. The only nudity is the morning after when she's playing the guitar naked, sitting behind the keyboard.
Or she pulls her pants down and you see her panties in that scene beforehand.
Yeah, there's actually not legit no nudity, and I don't even think her body double showed up on screen at all.
Right? I don't think so.
I don't think they even used any shots.
And then the only other thing I could think of the nudity was when there's one part where she's getting dressed, but it's a shadow of her getting dressed.
Yeah, and she wasn't even naked. She was wearing a bra. She could have been wearing a bathing suit.
Right? So it's
although I did notice the over-sexualization thing right away in one of the very first scenes where she opens the fridge door and points her ass to the camera.
Right?
Yeah. Which man's decision was that on set? And if it's a woman's, that's disappointing.
No, I'm pretty sure it was directed
by David
McNally. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Always demand.
Good old patriarchy. It's a running theme.
Right. This was basically based off of an article in GQ called The Muse of the Coyote Ugly Saloon. And I guess it was a bar in East Village.
Mm-hmm.
Bar open.
Yeah, it was a real bar.
Which became a favorite of Lower East Side hipsters. And for those of you, if you haven't seen the movie and you're wondering what Coyote Ugly means, it's the feeling of waking up after a one night to stand and discovering that one arms is underneath someone who is so physically repulsive that you would rather chew it off than waking the person.
Referring to a coyote gnawing off its own limb when stuck in a trap.
Exactly, to facilitate the escape.
Hence, you're not just ugly, but you're coyote.
Coyote ugly.
Yeah. You're hella ugly. Uber ugly. Come on, guys. Seriously.
When the film first came out, it did.
But you're all beautiful.
You're all beautiful. We all love you. So the film received negative reviews from critics, kind of basically just saying it's an excuse to portray hot, sexy women dancing on a bar in a wet t-shirt contest.
Well, that's what sells.
Well, I mean,
they're not wrong.
I was gonna say they're not entirely wrong on that. There's a sub part storyline, obviously, with her dad and all of that, but. Yes. And they mentioned it a bunch of times. You got your picture hanging up in the in the other guy's booths and stuff. They just want to ogle you.
But that one picture, the one picture that's in the newspaper that they show, it wasn't even that sexy.
I know.
It was just her singing on a bar.
That's what she says to her dad.
Her belly button was showing. Big fucking deal.
She says that to
Yeah.
Adam Garcia's character.
Heaven.
It's a bar.
Yeah, like it's a fucking bar, but obviously you can tell like it's not just a bar to her.
It isn't just a bar. It's kind of like a way of life, and which you know,
I mean, it'd be super fun. Like it looks like a fun fucking place to work. Like,
right?
Damn, I might not feel safe at times. That one brawl that happened, but still, like Cammy being stolen by one of the patrons and carried off on his shoulder.
Right?
Like, where the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Why are you taking her off the bar? And then for some reason, why did she think that the ice cubes were gonna like calm everybody down?
She should have filled it with water first,
right?
Like it should have been ice cold water, not just ice cubes.
Ice cubes. Like what the hell?
It would have calmed everybody down.
So basically, I guess we should go back into the basic plot.
Yeah.
Before we get too off track here.
Yeah.
So Violet Sanford is a girl from New Jersey who, you know, like all 20-year-olds.
Better than me?
Yeah, has big city dreams, you know, and she wants to become a singer-songwriter because she's too afraid to actually sing her own songs and get stage fright. So she just wants to be the one who writes the songs and sees someone else sing them on stage.
Yes.
Just like her mom. And then her daddy, John Goodman, doesn't really want her to go. And then her best friend, Melanie Linsky, which it's so funny watching
her. Like, I love her so much. I love her in everything she's in.
I know, but then I forget, like, because she was also in, like, Ever After. And I'm like, I forget how long she's been in Hollywood. But then I see her on, like, 2.5 Men and things later. And I'm like, she's been in Hollywood so long and she doesn't look like she's aged yet. Like, she was also in, like, Detroit Rock City. And, like,
she's in Don't Look Up.
Right.
And she plays Leonardo DiCaprio's wife.
Okay.
They have 2 grown sons who are like almost 30. Okay. Because Leonardo DiCaprio is almost, if not 50.
Right.
And Melanie Linsky, I don't know how old she is, but she has to be like getting up there.
In her 50s, yeah.
No, I wouldn't say 50. I'd say she's probably early to mid 40s is my guess.
Oh, mid 40s. 1977 is when
okay,
she was
so
born.
44. The year my parents were married.
May 16th, 10 days after me.
Oh, nice. Actually, well before you.
Well before me, but like days wise.
Yeah, like I loved her in that role, but I hated her in that role because I did not buy her as a mother of children that old. That was the only thing I had an issue with her being in that role.
Right.
That is the only thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Back to Melanie Linsky. Her character,
such a good friend.
Such a great friend, but also at the same time, she thought that they were going to be the traditional, like, best friends in New Jersey, growing up together, like, having kids and getting married together, and she's doing that.
She even said that they had all those plans to do all this stuff together, and it never happened, but that's what she loves about their relationship. They never follow through with their plans. Yeah.
So she's basically going to stay in Jersey and start her, like, get married with her husband and stuff.
Start her family,
While Violet's going and pursuing her dream in the big
she was in Sweet Home Alabama, too.
Oh, yeah, she was. Yes.
Yeah. Baby on her hip at a bar.
Is that Jacqueline Smith?
Yeah.
Do you know Jacqueline Smith? Oh, anyways. So, and she goes she goes to move to the big city. Her first night there is kind of, you know, a little trying to figure out the lay of the land and everything. So she knows she needs to get a job. But
can I just say how wonderful of a friend Gloria is, played by Melanie Linsky, because we didn't actually mention that, to give her that money.
Freezing her assets?
Yeah, freezing her assets. Like, gave her, like, she saved up money to give to Violet, you know, to help her out because, you know, the apartment was shitty and whatever. But, like, what a good fucking friend.
Right? And then one thing I also looked up when I was doing this, because I was also watching How I Met Your Mother when I was doing that marathon or whatever, and then they were talking about the Staten Island syndrome and, you know, the whole, like, meh. And she's like, they're like, oh, it feels like we're going to be so far away. And I Googled it, and Jersey's only 42 miles from New York City.
46-minute train ride to Long Island.
Which, 46 fucking minutes. Try driving to fucking Toronto, guys.
Yeah.
It should only be 45 minutes, but it never takes you 45 minutes. It's always at least an hour and a half, if not 2.
Yeah, like we were an hour and 10 minutes apart.
Right. So that concept to me where they're like, oh my, it's like, they're like, oh, we're going to die. Cause it's like, I just thought that was so funny that like all the time in these Jersey things, they're like, Jersey's so far. And it's like, it's 42 miles. It's not that bad, guys. It's literally not that bad.
Yeah. When you're best friends though, I don't think it really matters.
Yeah.
Like how far you move, even if you move like 20 minutes further than you are now, or like whatever, it's still going to suck. Yeah.
Kate's best friend is coming from Newfoundland in June. So Right? You will still come back to see your friends. It's true. You don't care how far. Anyways, so I love that when her dad was reading the articles and stuff like that to trying to convince her to like not go, he's like, subway system one day will lead to a plague, an outbreak of plague.
The handrails in the subway, yeah.
Which we know now in our post-COVID world, it actually did happen.
Well, not because of the handrails.
No, but being in New York City, it was one of the like epicenters and hotspots for these did lead to plague.
And how we learned the phrase, avoid it like the plague. People never really apparently
took to it. So that can now be retired as a phrase from our. So young John Goodman also like, it was just so cute to see younger John Goodman.
Yeah, compared to now, like he still looks good,
right?
But yeah, he was so much younger then.
Right.
Obviously,
and it's like
22 years.
It is, so yeah, she freezes her assets. And then from that night, she ends up, was it that night she gets, or is it later? Nope. Okay. So she tries to like apply at a bunch of record places in the city.
She walks through New York and tries to like give demos, but she's having a hard time because you can't like give a demo without an agent, but you can't get an agent without being heard. Like it's a big fucking workaround bullshit shit. She ends up needing to go to an open mic or something.
Which classic millennial struggle. You can't work with us without experience, but you can't get experience without working.
Yes.
The classic struggle.
Yeah.
We understand.
Or you must have like a doctorate and a degree and 10 years experience for fucking minimum wage.
Right. Exactly. Like, a bachelor's degree just to work at fucking McDonald's now.
But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that you are going to agree with me on this one with one of the ones that she walked into, the one I have a fucking issue with, which is now like in hindsight is like,
now let me tell you about
my day. Like, like this woman goes off telling her about her horrible day. And in that horrible day is included her daughter tells her that she is bisexual and I am the person she hates most in the world. Yeah, fuck you. Who cares that your daughter's bisexual? She's bisexual. It's who she is. Just fucking love her and support her anyway. You're her fucking mother. It's what I hate about because of the ignorance back then.
She didn't necessarily say that she did hate her daughter, but she said that her daughter's a bisexual and she hates her now.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No, I know. But like, it's not like she was literally derogatory being like, oh my God, I hate my daughter now or whatever. Because the only reason I say this from the other side is because like, that could have been the day that she found out. And I feel like any parent, even though you love your child, you're still got some inner things that you still got to deal with that day as well. Like,
well, I think all parents, especially nowadays, need to prepare themselves for their child coming out to them in one way or another. Like
now you're saying now about millennial parents, but like, that's what I mean.
And I feel like even back then though, like back then in 2000, we were 17, 18, like we fucking knew better too.
No, we did, but like I know because I know one parent
I just hate seeing homophobia and bigotry portrayed in media. I just fucking hate it.
But I don't know that was 100% bigotry.
Yeah. Oh, it fucking was. It was. In my opinion, it was.
I didn't hear that she was like, I hate my daughter because of this. She's having a bad day.
I'm talking about her including the fact that her daughter came out to her as bisexual as a reason for her bad day. That's not a reason for a bad day. That is your daughter confiding in you of the person that she is and how she identifies and sees herself. Yeah. And you can fucking love her and support her for who she is and stop being such a bitch about it. The fact that her daughter told her that she hates her, that's a whole other story. That can be a part of your bad day. Okay, that's cool. That's understandable.
Yeah.
But using your daughter's sexuality as a reason for your bad day, fuck off. And
I think just all of it together was
homophobia is my biggest fucking trigger. Like that and like animal and child abuse, biggest fucking trigger. So I have to call it out when I fucking see it. So moving on.
So she goes to the bar where Kevin is working and they tell her that there's a band manager or a manager,
music
manager
or something.
Music
like
manager or something.
Yeah.
So
she's like, care of all the bookings.
So she's like, ooh, I want to get in. So it's Mr. O'Donnell as well. Yeah. I remember that, Mr. O'Donnell.
This is the guy pulling her chain, obviously.
And this is the bartender pulling her chain, knowing like she's having a little bit of a bad day. She's trying to do this and he's just, he's
just being a dick.
Right, that's Mr. O'Donnell. He's not realizing she would go after to ask him, like, come on.
Yeah.
And then, like you're referring to, so the band in the back of the stage was actually referred to as the Alex Band. So it's in the song, it's referred to as Wherever You Will Go by Alex Band in the musical credits. And this is because this made me so like, I was like, oh my gosh, when this all came out. So this was filmed in 1999 and The Calling didn't release their song until 2001, which Alex Band is in The Calling. But it's funny that there was a 2 years difference between when this was played and when it actually became signed and released as a song on the radio.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
So when I heard it on the radio, I was like, that's song from Coyote. I knew it right away. And I was like, that's the Coyote Ugly song. And what the hell? So she meets Mr. O'Donnell. She gives him the tape. Oh, and he was caught off guard too.
But he went with it.
He did go with it. So they came out after the night. So she was waiting the whole bar night. So they come out after they're done.
Yeah, just waiting to talk to him.
Just waiting to talk to him and do the shift. And then, so yeah, she's like, oh, Mr. O'Donnell. And he looks back at the bartender friend and he's like, what did you do? What the fuck did you do to this girl? Yeah. What did you tell her? So he's like, yes, I am the manager of this club. The manager of this club. So
might I add, in his sexy Australian accent.
Right, his sexy Australian accent. So he ends up, he takes it, and then she goes home and then finds out that her apartment has unfortunately been ransacked.
Well, first, before that happens, the chef, his actual boss, comes out and gives him shit for something, and the whole thing blows up. Yes, and he's like, okay, let's start over. I'm so-and-so, and
oh yes, whatever. Forgot. Yeah. So he proves that he's not the manager, he's actually the chef.
So she gets mad, and he still has her tape though.
Yep, still has her tape. So she's like, this is the worst. So she goes back home, and then on top of that being crappy, she gets the bad day of no one taking her tapes and then getting screwed kind of at the club, like just having a crappy day. And then she gets home, and then her house is ransacked, and they stole her
wad of cash in her freezer. Yeah.
So now she's even more upset
about that. Her cat never ran away because her door was wide open when she got home. But
was it her cat though?
Few scenes later, her cat is in her apartment.
But do we know if it's her cat or if it's just a stray cat that she's just sort of...
That's never actually really verified, but I just thought it was her cat because it wasn't the cat in the first couple of scenes at her dad's house.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, cat. Is it? But
why would she take a stray cat with her to New York? And when the door was wide open, the cat got out. Like, it's in an unfamiliar environment. It'll probably get lost. I know cats are usually really good about following their scent home and whatnot, but I'm just... I was just surprised. That's all.
I just always thought it was like an alley cat personally. So I never saw that part.
I look at the really small details. I'm one of those people.
Ignorance is bliss.
Like the other day, I had a nightmare that I cut my hair into bangs, and I woke up being like, "Oh my God, Lindy, what is your problem? Why did you dream about cutting bangs? That's got to be subconscious. Something telling me something. Like something's happening.
Don't do
it. If I'm dream cutting bangs, something in my life is happening." I woke up and go,
remember, Lindy, whatever.
I touch my hair and I'm just like, oh, thank fucking God.
If you ever get to a point where you need to grab those scissors like Marshall in the thing, you fucking call me. I know something is wrong.
Friends don't let friends cut bangs.
Yes, friends do not let friends cut bangs. This is literally true. If some friend says that she wants bangs, you know she's going through something. God. She is. Because no girl in her right mind wants bangs. They always regret it later. Always.
Yeah.
So anyway, after her shitty night,
she goes to some diner
to
dive.
Just kind of feel a little, because I know I've been robbed.
Some pie.
I know I've been robbed, and I don't really want to feel at home. You don't really feel safe in those moments. Yep. So you're like, especially when you live alone, there's no one there. Yep. So you're like, no, I want to go somewhere where I'm going to feel safe for this nighttime. So of course she goes down to a diner and doesn't have much in her pocket. So the beautiful man gives her a free piece of pie because he can see she's clearly had a struggle of a day. And then she sees these girls or whatever, and then she's like, "Oh, Romero, turn it up. That's my jam." From Tyra.
Well, first she sees them with lots of money.
Oh yes, lots of money, and they're doing bets going.
They're betting on a Playboy.
Yes,
the cover model. They're betting on what her favorite
centerfold
movie is.
And what her centerfold and stuff is.
The centerfold, what her favorite movie is, and it was Saving Private Ryan, by the way.
Naked combat girl in boots. That's an easy call.
Yeah,
easy call.
Okay.
So yeah, she sees these girls. They end up and he's like, oh, she's like, who are they? What are they doing here? And he's like, oh, they're come down here to unwind every night. She's like, are they hookers? And he's like, no, they're coyotes.
Are they hookers?
He finds out coyotes. He's like, what's a coyote? And he gives her matches. So then the next day she goes down to the bar to find out what a coyote is. And
the owner of the bar is none other than Maria Bello. I love Maria Bello. She's amazing.
So she basically goes there, tries to find a job, and the girl thinks she's a little rougher on the edges, and she's like, are you just some like waitress with a power trip trying to waste my time? And then
she gives the girl attitude, so
she's like, oh, well, maybe you might be valid in my bar. Like, I thought you might have just been a sweet little girl, but no, you've got some sass. I'll take you. Mm-hmm. So on audition, so she tells her to come back that night.
Yeah. Basically throws her to the wolves.
Doesn't even tell her what's going on with the bar. Looks
Never
like
bartended before. Like, she worked at a pizza place beforehand. That was it.
So she walks in and the guy's like, oh yeah, they're just on the bar right now, but things will liven up in a bit. And then she turns around and it's Pour Some Sugar on Me, which this is when I fell in love with that song. I'm sorry. It is true. This is when I found the song and fell in love with it because of this movie. But that's when she turns around and sees that it's these girls dancing on a bar, not just a regular bar.
A little bit more promiscuous than what she's used to, a little bit. So like super fucking fun. I love that.
Super fun. And it really is fun because, side note, a few years ago, 2018, went down to Nashville and we were going down to just Lower Broadway, which is the bar section or whatever. And we happened to run into a bachelor party on the bus that was taking us down there, which the bachelor party turned out to be from Waterloo.
That's a small fucking world. That's
two people on my Facebook knew who this bachelor party was. Exactly who this bachelor party was.
It's kind of like me and Danielle meeting and making friends with the guy that we met in England who was from Guelph.
See, small world. So they were telling us they were going here, whatever, and then they mentioned Coyote Ugly, and I was like, "Wait, hold the phone. Did you say Coyote Ugly? There is a Coyote Ugly bar here in Nashville?" And they were like, yes, it is. And I was like,
"We're going."
Go. I'm like, it's literally just down this side. I'm like, Kevin, we are going to. So we went to a couple other bars, and then we went to Coyote Ugly, naturally, of course, because I had to, and. Of course, because you're allowed to, and it's not just the bartenders that are allowed to dance on the bar. Like any of the girl patrons are allowed to just go and dance on the bar. So I went and danced on a bar.
And I'm sure you either already posted or will be posting the video of that.
Right. And it's funny because actually Kevin's sister-in-law, she says like every time I post it, she's like, it just makes me so happy. I love what she's like, that video lives in my head rent free. Like, yes. So that was my little fun story about my Coyote Ugly story as well, and it's a pretty fun place to go. I think they have a couple other places around.
I've never been.
Though, like I said, first time, and I stumbled across it. I wouldn't have even known it was there if I hadn't have ran into this bachelor party. I still would have never been to a Coyote Ugly probably.
Well, if I'm ever in Louisiana or near a Coyote Ugly bar, whatever, Nashville, sure.
Tennessee,
somewhere in the south.
No, I think they might have some up north. I think they've got them in different places.
I've heard it's a franchise. I've heard it's got quite a few across the states.
Yeah. So
in this scene, Lil, the owner, played by Maria Bello, she was like giving her Violet the rundown, kind of introducing them, saying this is Cammie and so. And I love what she said about Rachel, played by Bridget Moynihan,
the New York bitch.
Yeah, the New York bitch. How she's in anger management and shit and stuff like that because she knocked out she broke a guy's nose or whatever for grabbing her
cut
ass.
A guy's ponytail for grabbing her ass, or no, she does that later on. Sorry,
she cuts the ponytail later on. But I love Maria Bello's line where she's like, he pressed charges, I gave her a raise.
Cheers.
Right, to that.
Cheers to that.
I absolutely love that. I love that. And also in this opening scene, Max from Armageddon is in it.
Oh yeah,
the big dude at the bar. He has one or two lines.
Also, the other thing, one of my favorite lines is also in this scene as well, because he's like, oh, can I have blah, 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 blah. And she's like, we only serve Johnny or Jack, Johnny Red, Johnny Black, and Jose, all my favorite men. Yes.
I really liked Cammie's line where she helped Violet out or something. And Violet goes, oh my God, I love you, Cammie, or I just fell in love with you. And she's like, oh no, I'm not a lesbian. I mean, I played in the minors, but I never went pro.
I know
I love that line.
Me too. I was like, that is awesome,
it's
Cammie. Funny. Which is why I find this movie, even though it is ogling girls,
it was kind of adorable.
No, but also even though it's ogling girls, they are these girls are they're empowered of their own sexuality. They're not letting anyone let them steamroll them.
And did you notice rhinestones and low rise everywhere.
Everywhere.
I
have
made a note.
all the bar outfits, but Rachel's outfit with the leather pants and flames. I want so bad. Like, all of them have just the cutest outfits, but yes, all low rise and very bejeweled.
I wrote a little note here while I'm watching this because you see the girls dancing on the bar and just like being sexy and just, like it's hot, right?
Yeah.
And whatever. And I'm just like, this would not have the same sexy effect in mom jeans. I just don't understand Gen Z's hatred for low rise.
True.
I really don't. I blame Taylor Swift for never showing her belly button.
But here's the thing. Your hatred for mom jeans is similar to their hatred for low rise. So whatever you grew up with becomes what you love the most. So you grew up with low rise, so you're going to always love them and hate the high rise. They're going to love the high rise because that's what they have in fashion for them, and they're always going to hate the low rise.
So we were watching How I Met Your Father yesterday.
Yeah.
And Sophie and Valentina wear mom jeans the whole fucking time. Like it's all mom jeans. And they're not like the skin tight legging mom jeans. They're kind of like a little baggier. And like, so we're watching it. Aaron's just like, those pants are not flattering, like on anybody. And I'm just like, you know what? I totally agree. I don't like the look of them. I just don't. But if you do, that's not.
I'm not saying I don't say I like them. I'm just saying it is what it is
because the masses at the moment.
Because it's no different. Like even in my grandma's era, they always loved their slacks. The boomers were the first eras that wanted jeans, so like they were gonna go to the retirement house in their jeans. Like whatever you kind of grew up with, that's what you really stick with. So I feel like the same thing because like when I go if you think about it, they're really just trying to rehash the 90s. It's all that these like Gen Zs are trying to do.
Well, it's what they're trying to swinging pendulum.
Which Miss Pentland taught us. Yeah. We knew this was coming back, Lindy. We've known
every
this
decade or so, shit comes back into fashion, but it's the wrong shit.
But Lindy, what it is you hit the ultimate as far as you. So we went as skinny as we can go, then we made our way back, and then we're gonna go
wider, like
as wide and as high as we can go before we get back down to low rises again. Now, also fast fashion is another thing that's weird because fast fashion, like the Sheins and all of that sites or whatever, are making those cycles come back a lot more faster.
Yeah.
So this new thing is the pendulum still exists, but it's still weird.
Yeah.
But listen, those pants are so cute. Love them. And then they go to the hell no H2O.
Yeah.
Oh no, H2O. Because we don't serve water in our bar.
Nope.
So and then next is obviously the Devil Goes Down to Georgia dance. The like synonymous dance that I guess exactly. So this kind of became very synonymous with this movie and everything.
It was such a good dance though.
It is such a good dance. And they actually do this dance at the bar.
Yeah.
There was also a reality show about
I remember that.
Yeah. So they were also taught them on that as well. So it's something that they still do it, and they do it quite often throughout the night too. So you kind of feel bad for those girls sometimes because you're like, you were probably so fucking sick of this dance yourself after a while.
What's funny about this, Steph, is that this week's episode of Drama Queens, if you listen to it, was the episode where Nathan goes to visit Taylor on his way home from visiting Haley in second season, where Taylor is working at a Coyote Ugly like bar. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure they do this dance in that scene.
I think they do something similar, but not quite full on.
Weird that it was that episode that they're talking about. Now we're talking about it on our episode.
Right?
I find that weird. Just odd. Whatever.
Oh, apparently I heard in the background that you can hear the choreographer telling left, right, then pump behind the music.
Never noticed.
Which is really fun. I never noticed before, but apparently for some reason this time I noticed hearing them say I could hear the choreographer somewhere over the top of it. I'm like, that's really funny that they didn't notice that.
It's funny because it's very rare when that happens, when you can hear something that happens behind the scenes, which the only one that I can think of at the top of my head is Goonies. When when Chunk is getting his hand put in the blender.
Yeah.
Or when he gets the spoon taken away. I'm sorry. When he's eating the ice cream and he gets the spoon taken away. And he just kind of he makes this just his reaction. It makes the director laugh. You can hear him. You can hear him.
That's
that he's
funny.
Laughing. It's pretty funny.
And then I also noted so many tribal plastic chokers.
I just noticed a lot of rhinestones.
Right? Those do you remember the ones I'm talking about?
Fringe. A lot of fringe.
Yes, a lot of fringe. A lot of fringe.
Just so much 2000 Year 2000 fashion.
Oh, the clip pony with the 2 strands in front.
Yeah,
you know, where you roll your hair. They're doing that now too as well. That's coming back, where you roll your hair, put the clip in,
wear that, and
let it flip over. Yeah, that was another thing that Violet had, and I was like, oh,
I'll go with my
funny.
messy bun, thanks. Moving on, when does she eventually
she goes to
have her day date with Kevin? Doesn't she have like a day date with Kevin?
She does, because she goes in. I know she goes. Because she also goes to the audition. She tells her to meet Cammy for a second audition, and that's when they get the clothes.
She's like, she sees them dancing to the Devil in Georgia. She's like, I can't do that, and
she's like, have a good night.
All right, see ya, good audition.
But then she breaks up a fight, and she's like, where did that come from? And she's like, try serving a pizza when the Giants play the whatever on a Monday.
The Patriots,
whatever. I don't know.
Both teams, gross. So she gets a second chance, and she has to meet her fashion
coordinator or something
or whatever. Ends up being Cammy,
so
she can get something a little bit more sexy.
A little bit more, because
as soon as she shows up for her first audition, the first thing Lil does is like rip off the sleeves of her t-shirt and cut off the bottom of it, so she's bearing her midriff,
because she was just in a basic t-shirt like kind of thing. So they're like, no, you got to be more sexier. So she got her some new clothes, and then she realizes that he has the tape or whatever for some reason.
Yeah, that Kevin still has her demo tape.
Yeah,
she never got it back from him.
Yeah, so she goes back to the club to go in the middle of the day while he's cooking and stuff like that. And she's like, "Where's my tape?" And he starts singing. She's like, "You listened to it?" Gets kind of offended, and he's like, "Well, they're good."
Well, no, because that would be invasion of privacy,
right? But he's like singing, "Baby, you're the right kind of." Clearly, he's listened to them.
He's funny.
Yeah,
he was good in this role.
He was. And then he's like, "Oh, well, how can I see you again?" And she's like, "Well, if you want to see me again, I'm a coyote.
You'll find me.
You'll find me." And then tells him that she's a coyote, and he's like, "Well,
oh yeah." Then he's like, "Well, what does that mean?" And she's like, "Well, if you want to see me again, you'll find out, or you'll find me."
And then she leaves, and then he asks the chef, she's like, "Is that a good thing?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's good."
Oh yeah, it's a good thing.
And I love that when she's like, "You're a coyote." He's like, the one chef that's sitting there eating, he's like, "Oh." And they're like, "Yeah, that's a good." So then the next night he comes to the bar
and finds her,
and
it's adorable.
And then Rachel, the bitch, tries to get her fired as well because she doesn't like her. So there's a guy there asking for Lil, and then asks for Lil, and he's like, "Oh, do you want a drink?" And he's like, "Well, no, I'll just take a water." And Rachel's like, "Well, did you just order water? You know what to do." And then she's like, "Hey, he just ordered water." And then turns out
water in our bar.
So she sprays him with the water, and then turns out it's the fire marshal.
Yeah, Lillian has a shit.
And then
I would too.
But it's like, so she got mad. So she got a fine. So basically, Violet had to pay the fine, and to raise money to get this fine paid,
so she can save her $250 by the end of the night to save her job. So Kevin wanted to help her with it. So
she decided to auction him off.
A lot of horny women in that bar.
Lots of horny women.
And I would not have stopped at $250, just saying.
Right?
But I love how he went along with it.
And he does say, like, that blonde would have went $275.
Yeah, he played along, like he played his part really well. He was pretty funny.
Yeah.
He eventually like got really into it, took his shirt off, then he like rubs his nipples. I'm like, men really think women find that attractive and sexy and gets our motor running? Like, ooh, let me just rub my nipples. Like, no, that's something that turns you fucking guys on. I mean, some women maybe, but everyone's
got their own thing.
Do like everyone has their own thing, right? Yeah. Right. But I love that. And yeah, I would have not stopped at 250. I would have just kept going and been like, man, now I can get my own fucking tips too. Are those women expecting to sleep with this man? Because that would be prostitution and that's illegal. Well, what happens? But it is. I think she just said a night with this man, like a date night. So what they decide to do after is their thing, but she did the main thing. So it's not technically prostitution on her part. But I love right, I agree. That like at the end of the night when they're all done at the bar or whatever, and she comes out, it's like 3:30 in the morning, and he's there waiting, and he tells her a laundry list of things about this woman who bought this date with him. Like she's a divorcee, has 3 kids, and la la la. And I'm just like, that's just so funny. He remembered all of it. That's right, a good man right there, Violet. He listened. He listened. Oh, something we forgot to mention: Lil, when she introduced Violet to the bar as their newest coyote, she changed her name to Jersey. Which is adorable. And she's what, a school teacher, I think? She's an ex-kindergarten teacher, former nun who just escaped the convent.
I was looking to have a good time.
Yeah.
Who wants to buy her a drink?
Yeah. But I love that like Kevin's waiting for her when she gets out of the bar and everything.
And then she's like, well, what? He's like, well, what do you want? What do you want? He's like, well, I want what everyone wants at 3:30 in the morning. Breakfast.
I want breakfast.
Yeah. So they go, and then the date continues where you said this is the date.
It ends up being breakfast, lunch, and 2 dinners.
Is what they
owes him.
Yes.
For doing that.
They do go out and then they go to a fish market and do some working.
Because he has like 16 jobs.
Apparently.
Yeah.
So they do the fish thing and then they come back and
they seem to have a really fun date.
So it's like, oh, this is kind of good or whatever. So they just kind of, okay, maybe we'll continue this. And then I think she goes on another day of work.
Well, she goes to leave and then he
doesn't kiss her?
No, they don't kiss. And then she goes up to her apartment and then he either shows up at her door or at her window, maybe. I don't remember. And he's like, well, I thought about it and I decided I want that goodnight kiss.
Oh, he left without a kiss, then came back and said,
something like that. Which, I mean, that was adorable.
And then later on, it's the same thing. She comes after work and she's like, oh, I had a good night. So I just wanted a good night kiss. And he's like,
yeah.
And then leaves and he's like, well, she's like, no, I'm just going to go. And then she writes her another song. Loving you isn't really something. That's the one that's on that she's singing on the roof.
But
up on the roof.
The boot on the car, the fake boot on the car.
Great idea. Genius idea.
Absolutely genius. People living in New York, go get yourself a fake boot, put it on your car so you can park in like a non-parking zone.
Right. A zone.
Yeah. Put a fake ticket in your windshield. So like meter maids think that you've already been ticketed and free parking in New York. There you go. Anywhere you want. But yeah, like I don't know where it is, but when they do go on another date or something where they sleep together for the first time,
they come back to his place and then he's trying to help her get over her stage fright.
Oh right, by setting up all the cardboard cutouts.
Did you know I put such old cardboard cutouts, like all the people were so dated.
I just saw Swayze right in the middle.
Right, there's Marilyn,
the only one I remember.
I was just like, that's hilarious. They were just so dated. And then I love when she starts getting into like her music, like now that she's getting some money while working.
Oh, we missed something. When they went to get breakfast, he went to make a deal with a guy or whatever. Saw him shave him money. He gave him a brown paper bag, and he comes back and she's like, "Look, I don't know what you're into, but
it's the first appearance of the Punisher."
Thing. He pulls out a comic book, and it's Superman number 129.
The first appearance of the Punisher.
Mm-hmm. Comic book nerds are cool. They're hot. Right.
And this was before no, this was even before. This was not when comic books were cool either. This was 2000, guys. This was before Iron Man and stuff. This is when comic books were still nerdy.
Nerds
are cool now.
One day, be nice to the nerds.
I'm just saying, this was like in the 90s. We still had the nerdy tropes. We don't have them now. We know nerds are awesome, but back then there was still the nerdy trope.
Cool, quote unquote, cool guys, like the stereotypical movie
cool guy,
jocks, whatever. The majority of them are nerds themselves.
Yes. Yeah.
So jocks are just as big a nerds as nerds.
Oh,
nerds
yeah.
Are cool, nerds are hot. Just, Anyway.
Moving on.
Coyote Ugly.
Coyote Ugly.
We go on. I'm sorry, guys.
So this one, this part made me laugh. So I love the part, I put a note here where she's going and she's like, now that she's got the money and she's really starting to kind of like want her music career to go out there, she goes to the music store and buys the Apple iBook.
Dude, I wrote that down. Apple laptop, $1,600 fucking dollars.
I put clearly the price hasn't changed that much. Because it's still $1,600 to buy, or even like $2,000 to buy an Apple laptop nowadays. Literally, the price has not changed in 22 years, guys. What the heck?
That's why I'm not an Apple product user. There are plenty of fantastic products out there, alternatives that are not Apple and not going to fucking rob you. Just saying. Android, Samsung.
So yeah, I thought that was funny too. I noted that like the $15.99 for that, and it was the colorful iBooks too. Those were the awesome iBooks. I always wanted one of those.
Before that, I noticed that like the first time she sings at the bar, like when she breaks up a brawl at the bar because she comes out of her shell pretty fucking fast.
Yeah,
right. Like she starts off like really timid and then comes out of her shell pretty fast. I'm pretty sure that was. And wait, that's a little later on.
Exactly. Like, why is it okay? Like they said to her, why can you sing these your songs on the bar to everybody, but you can't sing?
Because it's completely different when it's a song that nobody knows. when
but
it's
usually
you and it's your own personal feelings and everything.
No, but also
it's
usually
hard to put that out there.
But also usually stage fright is completely just crowd, period.
I mean, that's fair, but I don't
So that's
think
what
her issues, I don't think her issues were crowd at all. It was all worried about the criticism she's going to get for her own writing and her music.
But then once you sold your songs and everything, why would you care anymore? Because clearly they're selling. Clearly it's proving that you can make good music. Why would you just sing them anyways?
She's done it before, so her confidence should be better. But I mean, sometimes that's just someone's anxiety. You can't. Sometimes it's irrational. Sometimes you can't explain it. But no, what I wanted to talk about was because like before she goes to buy the computer and everything, she's on the roof and she's playing the guitar, and some guy starts playing a rap song really loud from the building next door, and she listens to it and she goes, dun, 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 and she starts singing her song to that tune.
Yeah, loving you.
So she fucking plagiarized it.
I should do.
So she plagiarized that song because she used that beat that she heard.
She didn't necessarily. She didn't give the. We don't know if she gave the credit or not. We don't know that part. But yeah, she did sample the beat from it.
Oh, she plagiarized
and she did do the lyric. Well,
she did not write the music to her song.
She did because if you listen to their song, it is a little different. She did take the beat.
I didn't hear any difference. Anyways, so after she buys the $1,600 laptop, there's a monologue, not a monologue, but a montage, which I love because it shows her growth. It shows her coming out of her shell and learning all the tricks of being the bartender, the swirling of the bottles and being super fast. And she eventually learns how to take a shot and then a chaser into the beer.
And making out with
she's not drunk while she's working.
Making out with Kevin in the middle of a park.
Yeah, that too.
I was like,
I'd make out with Kevin in the middle of a park.
Well, no, it's just funny because that's how like the montage ends, and it's just like, okay.
Because they become like dating and they're boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh, I know, but it's just like you said, it's a montage of her growth at work, and then it just kind of ended with them kissing. So it was like
with her growth, building relationships in a new city.
I guess it was just like I said, it's just a little funny because it was all at work, and then all of a sudden it just ends with them like
she's at the bar, or she does eventually like she talks to her dad somewhere in there because her dad. I forget where that happens, but she's at the bar and they're doing their typical thing and she's singing or whatever. And that's when her dad decides to come and visit her at work and see what she does. So he's got perfect fucking timing.
No, I think he only comes because of that or something. I don't think he ever.
No, yeah, he comes because of that, but it was because the New York Times, where the guy was like, "Hey, no pictures," and then the photographer, who was Michael Bay, by the way. The photographer was Michael Bay.
Explosions, Bay. Michael Bay, explosions.
All style, no substance. Wrote an article about Coyote Ugly for the New York Times, and that picture of her from the first time she sang to calm down the crowd was in the toll booths of her dad's coworkers because he runs one of the toll booths at on the border, Jersey and New York, whatever. So he came to the bar to see what it was about, and
that was the night.
That was the night that
Tyra Banks came. No, that was the night that Tyra Banks came.
Yeah, and they danced with all the water.
But that's what they were doing, a special thing because she was coming back. They're like, oh, we're going to do a special night. And then they do a wet t-shirt night, basically.
Yeah. They just pour water all over themselves.
Of course, seeing this photo of his daughter in these things, and then you come to the bar the first night and she's doing wet t-shirt. What do you think she's doing here is?
That was the night that we saw Johnny Knoxville in the crowd.
Was that Fleet Week, wasn't it? Or is it the same night?
It was that night. It was that night.
So Johnny Knoxville, along with that other blonde guy, are patrons.
Something wild. Kyle Wild.
I've seen him in a couple other little things before, and so they're these different patrons in the bar, and they're just like,
it's Johnny
Knoxville. And they're all like,
now.
They're all anxiety, sort of like, oh my god, it's hot girls on the bar. And so her dad gets mad and stops talking to her.
That is an understatement.
Yeah.
But how uncomfortable would it have been to finish your shift in wet clothes, especially jeans and leather?
Well, that's why she's in the back against the fan.
I know, but still, just
maybe they did have other clothes in the back.
Yeah, maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. So after this or whatever, that night, wasn't it, or something that what's his face got her a slot at the Elbow Room?
No, that's Fleet Week night, I believe.
Was that Fleet Week? Yes, because then the bar
it gets too busy.
Happens.
Yeah, it gets
that's when Cammy is taken off on a shoulder.
Yep.
No, because that would be the first time that she sings. Because wasn't it Fleet Week was the first brawl where she sang into the crowd for the first time?
Either way, I know it was a busy night because Lil is like, you can't you can't leave here because there's a bar outside that
we're whacked halfway around the block, and
in New York City, that's a good thing. You can't leave because she could only stay for until 10 because of the thing that
she had to leave by 10:30, and she had been telling Lil all night that she had to leave by 10:30.
And then 10:30 comes.
Yeah, she's like, sorry, you can't leave, and
there's a line.
Kevin gets mad at her because he put up
his comic book
to get her this slot at the Elbow Room, which is mentioned in How I Met Your Mother, but is no longer in existence.
Yeah. And then she had to stay, so he got mad at her, and then he ends up coming down to the bar because he's so upset, and to see. And then of course, when she gets there, she's singing on the bar, which she's like, what the fuck? I got you this.
Climbs up, yeah,
and starts
climbs up on the bar, and she's dancing with him. And
apparently he's a regular too, so they're like, it's okay.
Kevin gets all fucking mad and
punches him in the face.
Starts a fucking fight.
Yep. And
subsequently is one of Lil's 3 rules that she just broke, so she got fired.
Yeah. Now, when this happens, though, before she gets fired, they go outside.
They outside, and her and Kevin have it out.
Her and Kevin do have it out. And he's like, and this is funny because to me, I so agree with Kevin's character where he's like, oh, you've had it rough. Like, oh, I was adopted. He's like, I had a rough childhood, but I'm here and I'm standing on my own 2 feet and I figured my shit out. Like, it doesn't matter. And
he grew up in the foster care and bounced around.
Sorry, that's what it was. I was about to say he bumped around from home to home. So he's a foster kid. Sorry, bumped around.
He had no family or anything, which is why he left home.
Yeah. So, and then he came to New York City.
I mean, they both make really good points. They both make really good points.
But she was cocky on it too, though. She's like, "Why did you leave? What's the big secret? Why did you leave Australia, Kevin? Like, why can't you
tell me?" She did not handle that well. She did not handle that well at all.
And I don't blame him why he kind of freaked out on her for that because you don't attack that poor guy.
He had every right to be upset with her.
Yes,
because he did, but she didn't know you put up your comic book. She had no idea that you lost this.
Not. Yes,
and
this is true.
She apologized. She said she's sorry. It's her job. It's her way of life. Are you going to support her when she gets fired for this? No.
On the other hand, he does.
He handled it
right.
wrong.
And I get on his side where he's like, look, I put up for you to fulfill your dream so that even if you do, even though you are putting this aside, you can make more, but yeah.
Yeah. That's sweet. Like, he's trying to get her to pursue her dreams and everything, but
and become big and famous and stuff. Like, I get that, but yeah.
It's her job.
It is her choice. It is her choice, her life, her dream. So if she doesn't want to pursue it, and if the bar is more important to her for her dream, then that's her choices. You can't really stop her.
Yeah, that's true. When she was talking, wait, why do I have that comment?
I know I have a comment here that I'm like, what?
I was like, where does that come in?
Oh, because when they go to a wedding with her dad, or she goes to her best friend's wedding.
Before that, hold on. Before that,
oh,
when her dad comes to the bar, like that couple scenes before, I forgot about this comment where he tells her it was the first time that he was ashamed of her. Is that when that happens?
Yeah.
At that night?
Yeah.
Or was it a little bit later on?
No, it was that night.
No,
it was at the wedding. It is at the wedding.
It is at the wedding. Okay.
So we're at the right part. We're at the right part anyways. I was talking about the wedding. So yeah, so they go so her best friend's wedding happens. Melanie Linsky wedding
Gloria
gets married. So of course
super
her dad
90s wedding dress or super 2000s wedding dress.
Her dad shows up there obviously because they've known forever, whatever. So he's like
he was invited.
So of course she's like, oh, and so they end up having a dance. He's like, oh, I need you two to get a dance and a picture together, whatever.
Tricks them into dancing, and so they can talk, and they're talking, and
then this is where he says, "This is the first time I felt ashamed of you,"
and that's just fucking ouch. Like, twist the knife that's already in my chest, Dad.
Yeah, I already feel so bad for everything, and then twist the knife that you felt ashamed of me for the first time. Yeah,
and then he turns around and walks out on her. And then she gets home like an hour or whatever later from the wedding, and then misses a phone call from Kevin. And then she gets a phone call from the hospital because her dad got hit by a car
on his way to his booth.
No, in his booth. It was in his booth. The car, if you listen to what the doctor says, the booth hit the left, or the car hits the left side of the booth where her dad was standing. So he ended up with like a broken leg, bumps and bruises and stuff. Like he broke a rib or something, didn't puncture lungs or anything. Like he wasn't critical, But
I thought he just got hit on his way to the booth because,
No,
like he said, because he mentions it earlier. Like, why you run? Because when she goes to visit him at his place of work at one point earlier in the film, he's like, "You can't run through here. People just drive through here all willy nilly." And so that's why I thought he gets hit by a car because he mentions that comment.
I could have sworn he said that a car hit the booth.
Maybe
that's what I heard. But
either way, he gets hit by he gets injured, and she has to now go to the hospital. And Gloria on her wedding night shows up at the hospital, and she's like, "No, it's your wedding night." He's like, "He's been in my family for a few minutes. You've been my family my whole life."
Yeah, like so, that's a BFF.
That's a BFF. That is a girl that will pump you up no matter what. From that point, Violet says she wants to go home. Or stay at home with her dad because she's like, "Oh, I tried, I couldn't make it," and she's trying to help him get back on his feet, so she's staying there for at least a couple of days. And he's like, "No, you can't no, you can't come back home. I'm not gonna let you." Like, he now is like kind of changed his ways almost. Like, I want you to do what you're doing in the city and keep your career going and follow your music.
So then she goes back to New York City where she is working as a bartender at like a hotel or something, or like a swanky bar or some sort.
Something like that. They don't explain. Just a swanky bar or hotel.
An elite and upscale, whatever.
Yeah.
And Lil comes to see her to tell her that she has a job with her at Coyote Ugly. If she wants it, it's there when she wants to come back.
Yeah.
But she says no.
Piedmont, North Dakota.
Tell anybody I'm gonna have to kill you.
Right.
So, but I love Maria Bello in this. She's amazing. She has such range. She's great.
Right. And then, so from this point, I think do we get another montage?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. I couldn't remember.
No, I don't think it's another montage. I just know that like after Lil visits her at her new job or whatever, Kevin tells her that
I just remember she comes home.
Not Kevin.
She gets a phone call from the Bowery Ballroom.
Right. She gets a phone call from the ballroom. She sent her demo tape to a songwriter's kind of open mic night every Sunday at this well-known club.
Yeah.
And so they accept her and she has to go and drop off the music so the house band can learn her music and everything. So she is with her dad and at his house with Gloria, rushing him to try to get to this club or whatever, and Lillian shuts down Coyote Ugly for the first time ever.
No, in 4 years or something like that.
Oh, I thought it was the first time ever.
No, I think she says in like 3 or 4 years, but it's a while. 4 or 5 years is still a long time for not shutting your bar down.
So that they can go and support her with her coming out. So
and then she asked for a phone number. She asked the dude for a phone number because she wanted Kevin's phone number, and then she calls Kevin and tells him to turn the newspaper to this page, which is actually the ad for the Bowery Ballroom with her name, which had Eve 6 listed on there too, which I always thought is funny.
I did notice that. But yeah, I love the toll booth part where she fucking makes a U-turn.
Oh, because he's like, can we do a 1, 2, 3? And he's like, to get the
toll booths all light up their whistle.
Yeah, they light up in their whistle. And give a good celebration.
I can't do this. It just does fucking pulls a U-turn. Who pulls a U-turn like immediately? Like, didn't check over her shoulder. She's not in the far left lane.
No.
Like, or the oncoming traffic. Just fucking pull a U-turn. To pull another one 2 seconds later.
Did I mention that I was recently in a horrific car accident?
I said that. I was like, her dad must be shitting himself. He was just in a car accident. And then he said that line.
And you're like, I was right. I was right.
Oh my God. So then she gets to the Bowery room or whatever.
And can we mention she goes up on the curb because she's so nervous she can't even park properly?
Hey, when Gloria drove her to New York initially at the beginning of the movie to move to New York, she was parked on the curb too.
That's
she was
true.
Also parked on the sidewalk,
which doesn't
be a New York thing.
Oh, and also I mentioned one thing when they were in the before they go to the toll booth section when they're trying to get ready. He's like, "Do you think this many rolls of film will be enough?"
3
rolls of film for a camera, people. Listen to these words. Rolls of film for your camera.
This is 2000. So cameras were not on cell phones yet.
We barely even had digital. Like, we were just getting into the digital camera.
Yeah.
Like, let alone camera on cell phones.
I'm pretty sure my dad just got his first cell phone like 97 or 98 or something like that. So
96, and I still have it upstairs. Actually, I found it in Danielle's boxes. But yeah, like 2000. I think we maybe we're even just getting those the digital versions. But rolls of film that hurt a little.
So she was late getting to the Bowery room.
Yep.
But then she eventually gets to stage and she fucking freezes. And then what happens?
Her crisscross hair part as well.
Oh yeah, that's super.
So 2000s.
But I find it ridiculous that so
he turns off all the lights.
I'm like, I wrote down, I was like, seriously, how many people does this guy fucking know in this business to have them turn off all the fucking house lights? It's just for him to stand there with a candle.
It's a bar, like your bar. You might know, like there is like a lot. I know up here they do a lot of like industry nights. So anyone who works in the bar scene on Sundays, because usually bars are closed on Sunday, they'll go out and let loose. And so they probably get to know each other because all the people go to industry nights. I mean, but I don't know if that's the same thing that happens in New York. But maybe that's how kind of he got to know people. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or he works 16 jobs. Maybe that's one of them he works at. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, so she sings her song. She kills it.
Can't Fight the Moonlight. This is where she sings the big Can't Fight the Moonlight song.
Then there's like a very short scene where it shows like it being recorded onto a Leanne Rimes CD.
A CD single back then. Can we also say that? CD singles, words that do not exist anymore.
So then it was what was it, 6 months later?
I think it's 6 months later.
Yeah, they were back at Coyote Ugly, and she sold her song, and
Leanne Rimes is performing on the bar, and she performs with her for a moment as well.
Which is funny because when Leanne Rimes does all the singing for Piper's characters, she's basically singing a duet with herself.
Right? Vocal masturbation. I think that was in Glee. I think they made that reference in Glee about singing with yourself. And she's like, it's like vocal masturbation.
Duet by yourself.
I think Santana makes that reference or something.
Probably. It sounds like something
it's Santana line,
exactly. Would say.
Right. Yeah. And I just remember that line for some reason. It's like vocal masturbation.
Yeah. But yeah, so, like, no, it was a good ending.
On top of that, so then she tells him, he's like, so what do you do when you've had all your dreams come true? And she's like, you pay off old debts. So she found out about the comic book and gives him back the version of the comic book that she cost him.
Yeah.
And which is super sweet. Like she realized what she did, and so she had to pay it forward. And then we get another mail auction, and of course Kevin's like, no, not again. And she points
Kevin
to her daddy.
Yeah, her dad, William.
So John Goodman goes up and is dancing on a bar, which is so funny. And then, did you notice who one of the bidders is in that
Alex
one?
Borstein.
Right.
And
take some of it off. Put some of it back on.
Did you notice the other one?
Which
Carol
one?
Ann Susie.
Which one was she?
She's Howard's, like the voice of Howard's mom.
I was gonna say the one with the rasp. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, she was there. She was uncredited though, so she wasn't in IMDb.
Okay.
But yeah, it was Carol Ann Susie and Alex Borstein who plays the voice of Lois Griffin.
Yep, and they both tried to auction off on him, and they try to bet for him, and then of course he's kind of got a little girl that he's been seeing since the little redheaded nurse that was taking care of him.
Yeah,
and so
she's buying him for $150,
and he's like,
already
sold.
On a date with him.
Right, he's like, sold. So then on the bar, and he's like, so she's like, well, now they're all done, and then they kiss on the bar, and then the movie's over.
Yeah, and the music fades out, and all happy ending, and.
Please remember.
All tied up in a pretty ribbon.
Right? Pretty ribbon. Yep. No sequels. So yeah, I am really intrigued on how like the multiple versions of this script came out. Because also at some part you can feel that there is kind of some parts where there are disconnects in the stories almost.
A little bit. Like you think there's something missing.
Right.
Yeah, like they kind of glazed over something.
Yeah, like Gloria, like they don't even really mention like her story is just kind of like, here, I'm dropping you off here, and then here's the wedding. Like they could have maybe had one more little like, there just something seems sort of.
She wasn't in the ending scene, that celebratory thing. I don't remember seeing her.
If she was maybe just as a patron.
Didn't have any lines or anything.
No lines or anything. Right, exactly. So it's like.
But overall, I forgot how good of a movie this was.
Right.
It just gives you all the feels.
It does give you the feels.
It does.
I
love how John Goodman played the part where he doesn't know how to use crutches. Did you see? Like he was like a fucking bull in a goddamn China shop.
And he like slams his ankle down, and he's like, "Ah!"
Has no idea how to use crutches at all.
Yeah,
like they're pretty straightforward.
Right? They're not different. The hardest is up and down your stairs.
Yeah,
that's the hardest part.
When I was 8, when I was on crutches, I just I slid them down the stairs ahead of me and just went down on my butt.
Yeah, I did that a lot too.
Yeah.
Down is much harder than up. Up is kind of sort of easy.
Down, I wasn't in like an actual cast, so it wouldn't have caught on the stairs. I would just go down on my stomach head first.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, so like wasn't one of my favorite movies when it came out back then. So that's why I was all like, I have to watch it.
But then once you watched it, you were like, this is actually,
I watched it.
Right? There's a good soundtrack. There's some good songs. Some good actresses are in this. And
after watching it, I was just like, I'm kind of in the mood for like another dancing type movie.
Right?
Whatever. So I put on Step Up 3D, my favorite of the Step Ups. And that's why I was kind of late to getting to the recording because I was finishing watching that.
That's okay. I remember I started to watch Step Up 1 not too long ago, but I don't think I ever finished it. Or if I did, I fell asleep while finishing it. Yeah.
So good. I love Step Up. I like that movie. Well,
so
I think that concludes our Coyote Ugly episode.
I believe that is all for Coyote Ugly.
And just one more time before we close out, happy birthday, Steph.
Happy birthday to me.
3 more and you're going to be 40.
Right, I know. It is also Joseph's birthday, May 10th.
Whose?
Joseph, Formidable Opponents.
Oh, okay.
May 10th. Because I was saying about
birthday, Joseph.
Right? I was saying about my birthday being like May 6th, and he's like, mine's the 10th. And I was like, literally 4 days after me, because I think he's also 85 as well. So literally 4 days apart, which I was like laughing at. Right? I was like, that's hilarious.
That's interesting. Well, happy birthday, Joseph. I hope it's a great day.
It's a May birthday extravaganza. Yay!
I still have to decide what topic we're going to talk about for my birthday.
Yes, you do.
I haven't narrowed down, but I haven't decided yet.
She keeps jumping. She's like, I'm going to do this one. No, I'm going to do this one. Wait, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this one. So,
well, because I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about something outside of our 9 to 5 to 05 range that I want to talk about that is still a part of my childhood and growing up. So
I almost did consider changing it at last minute, but then the movie I wanted to do was 1989, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, but you can still do 1989.
I could.
You can do anything outside of the realm on your birthday.
True.
It's your birthday. You can do whatever the fuck you want. What movie was it?
Troop Beverly Hills.
Oh my God, yes! I totally would. Yeah, come on. Okay, we have to do that one eventually. Maybe next year.
Next birthday. Next birthday. We'll do Troop Beverly Hills.
Or oh no, wait, Danielle's birthday's in February. Never mind. I was going to do it for her birthday, but it's
closer than May, so you know.
That's true.
We're instead of waiting a full year, we're only waiting like 10 months now. So.
All right. Well, I think that's it for us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening to our babble.
On that note, enjoy it. Thank you very much for joining us and joining me for my birthday. Yeah.
And good luck to anyone gnawing off their own arm if you end up with your own Coyote Ugly.
Right now that we are allowed back out into the world and going to bars again, guys, I know some of y'all are getting a little too crazy because after 2 years of lockdown, I've been seeing people like who may not have never let way fucking loose. So if y'all end up having a Coyote Ugly, just remember.
I am kind of dying for a club night.
Right.
I need to get out there and crunk.
I know, right? Me and Jess Graydon's girlfriend said the thing. She's like, I think you, me, and Kate need to have a girls' night. And I was like, I am down for a girls' night. I need a night out to dance, to just have fun with my girls.
Yes.
Like, so
something
we need
that
to plan
is not
this.
working home.
Right?
Yes.
Right. Something so we might have to plan.
For you.
Right.
Sorry, I had to say it.
It's fine. I've accepted it. I'm coming.
You've gone through your 5 stages of grief. You're at acceptance.
I was at acceptance from the beginning, but then I still my first
kind of went backwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally, like I was
completely acceptable, and then you got like sad about or depressed, then angry, and then you just didn't accept it in denial.
Anger came out in a weird way. The dogs got groomed and it wasn't quite right, and I had a visceral angry reaction at home. It wasn't at the groomer, like trust me.
So it's kind of like Barney Stinson chain of screaming.
Right. It really was. So there was a lot of it's a backwards, like literally on that day and a few days after I was like, I'm good with this. I'm glad with this. And then I think now I'm in the depression phase. The anger phase was first. I think the depression phase, I'll eventually come back to acceptance, but you know.
As long as you don't cut your hair into bangs, we're good.
No.
And on that note, have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you later.
Find us on Instagram, Spotify,
all our socials.
All of our socials. Just find us. We're Turn of the Millennials Pod, and we will catch you. Right. If you didn't know.
I really hope they do, because I mean, we're like 30 some odd episodes in.
Well, maybe they would look on Instagram as Turn of the Millennials Podcast, but it's actually Turn of the Millennials Pod. So maybe.
I mean, that's true. Okay, we need to stop rambling.
Anyways, I can cut them out. It's fine. So on that note, we will catch you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Alrighty. Have a good night.
Yeah.
day. Bye.